Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a New York style chocolate mousse cheesecake. It has a chocolate shortbread crust, a rich and creamy New York style cheesecake, chocolate mousse, and topped with chocolate ganache and chocolate chips. I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, but that's because my kitchen is getting renovated. It's been going on for more than a month now, and there's still more that needs to be done. So as soon as it's ready, I will be back to posting more often again. My aunt and uncle allowed me to make and film this recipe at their house, so that's where I'll be for part of this video, since the oven hasn't been installed when I made this recipe. There are still ways that I can make and post video for you guys even though my kitchen is getting renovated. But I really wanted to take this time and take a break from baking and doing YouTube since I've been doing it so much for the past 6 years. I haven't been overwhelmed or stressed about it lately, I just wanted to take a break from doing it. And like I said, as soon as the kitchen is done, I will be back to posting more often. Let's get started. Before getting started, all the ingredients must be at room temperature, including the cream cheese, eggs, heavy cream, and butter. So measure out these ingredients and let them sit at room temperature for a couple hours until they're no longer cold. If the room is quite warm, they will come to room temperature much faster. And use good quality ingredients for best results. This is the type of cream cheese that is used in New York, but any kind will do. Just make sure it's full fat, don't use reduced fat. And it must be the block cream cheese, not the soft spreadable kinds that comes in a tub. And for the eggs, they must be extra large or jumbo eggs. I'm using fresh eggs that I get from my own chickens, so I know they're good. For the heavy cream, use any that's at least 36% milk fat for a nice creamy cheesecake. And for the butter, any kind will do, just make sure it's the stick butter. It doesn't matter if it's salted or unsalted. Now to get started, preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Generously grease a 9 or 10-inch springform pan with butter. I'm using a 10-inch pan because I wanted to serve more people. I'll be giving ingredient measurements for both pans. Then line it with parchment paper. What I like to do is to remove the sides of the pan. Place a sheet of parchment paper onto the base of the pan. Put the sides back into place. And cut off the excess paper from the edges. Cover the outside of the pan with aluminum foil. And set the pan aside for now. To make the chocolate shortbread crust, in a small bowl, add in the flour and salt. Whisk them until combined. And set it aside for now. Then in a medium or large mixing bowl, add in the butter that was brought to room temperature earlier, and sugar, and beat them with an electric mixer until combined and smooth. Then add in the egg yolk from one of the eggs that was brought to room temperature earlier, vanilla extract, and dark chocolates that's been melted and cooled, and beat them in until combined. Add in the dry ingredients. Mix it by hand at first. Then use your hands to bring it together into a ball. Add the dough into the prepared springform pan and press it all over the base of the pan, trying to make the thickness even. You don't have to press it up the sides. Use flour or butter on your hands to keep it from sticking. Then bake it in the oven until it's set, about 15 minutes. When it's done, remove it from the oven and set it aside to cool, and keep the oven on at 350 degrees. To make the cheesecake filling, in the bowl of a stand mixer, or you can use an electric hand mixer if you don't have a stand mixer, add in one of the packages of cream cheese that was brought to room temperature earlier, a third of a cup of the sugar, and cornstarch, and mix them on low until combined, and keep mixing it for another 3 minutes on low until smooth and creamy. This just makes a nice starter batter. Scrape down the sides occasionally to make sure everything is mixing together. Then add in the rest of the cream cheese, one package at a time, mixing well on low and scraping down the sides after adding each one. Then add in the rest of the sugar and vanilla extract, and beat them in until well combined, scraping down the sides when needed. Then add in the remaining 2 eggs that were brought to room temperature earlier, adding one at a time, mixing well after adding each one. And scrape down the sides when needed. Then add in the heavy cream that was brought to room temperature and mix it in until just combined. Don't overmix the batter. And finish it by hand to combine all the ingredients. Again, don't overmix the batter. Pour the batter into the prepared pan on top of the cooled crust. Shake and tap the pan a few times to level it out and get rid of air bubbles. Place the cheesecake into a larger pan. This is a large roasting pan. If you don't have a pan this big, you can use a regular sheet pan. Place it into the oven. Add enough hot water into the large pan until it comes about halfway up the sides. And bake it until it's set around the edges but still a little jiggly in the center, about an hour and 15 minutes. Try not to overbake it. It should look like this when you shake the pan. It should be firm around the edges but still slightly jiggly in the center. So when it's done, remove it from the oven. Carefully remove the aluminum foil, or leave it until it's cold enough to handle, then remove the aluminum foil. And leave the cheesecake until it's completely cooled to room temperature. This can take up to 2 hours. Do not move on to the next step until it's completely cooled. Now I'm back at my house. Since I don't need the oven anymore, I'm filming on a table that's set up in the dining room. Once it's completely cooled, cover it in plastic wrap and refrigerate it for at least 4 hours or overnight until it's well chilled. To make the chocolate mousse, first in a small heat-proof bowl, add in the unflavored gelatin and cold water and mix it immediately so all the gelatin is moistened. Then leave it until it thickens and the gelatin absorbs all the water. Then in another heat-proof bowl, add in the dark or semi-sweet chocolate. I'm using dark chocolate for a bit of bitterness to the mousse. And heat them either in the microwave or over a double boiler until it's all melted. If you're melting it in the microwave, take it out and stir it well every 15 to 30 seconds so it's heating evenly and doesn't burn. Once it's all melted, set it aside to cool. Then in a large mixing bowl, add in the cold heavy cream and whip it with an electric mixer until soft peaks form. Start by mixing it on low. Then once it starts thickening, you can turn up the speed. Then with the mixer running on low, add in the sugar. Mix just until it's combined. Add in the vanilla extract and salt. And mix until just combined. Keep in mind that if you mix too long, you'll overwhip the cream and the mousse will be quite grainy. So mix just until combined and stop. Add in the melted chocolates from earlier, making sure it's completely cooled before adding it in. Mix it in just until combined. Now the gelatin will have absorbed all the water and be really thick. Heat it in the microwave for 30 seconds to melt it into a liquid. Add it into the mousse and immediately mix it in. The gelatin will set fast from the cold mixture, so if you don't mix it immediately, you'll end up with lumps of set gelatin in the mousse, which you don't want. If you do, you can pass the mousse through a fine sieve to get rid of all the lumps. Then mix it in by hand to combine all the ingredients. Remove the chilled cheesecake from the fridge. Add the mousse on top of it and spread it out until it's even, trying to make the top as level as possible. Then cover it in plastic wrap and place it into the freezer for at least 4 hours until it's frozen. This is to let the mousse set nice and firm since we want it to hold its shape when we remove it from the pan. When the cheesecake is almost ready, you can make the chocolate ganache. In a heat-proof bowl, add in the chocolate. I'm using half milk and half dark. And heavy cream. And heat them in the microwave or over a double boiler until the chocolate is melted and the mixture is smooth, just like we did earlier for melting the chocolates for the mousse. Then add in the vanilla extract and salt, and mix them in until combined. Then place it into the freezer for about 15 minutes to let it cool and thicken, or you can place it in the fridge for about an hour. We just need it to be cold and a little thicker before adding it to the top of the cheesecake. Once the cheesecake is frozen, remove it from the freezer. Run a butter knife around the edges to loosen it from the pan. Remove the sides of the springform pan. Place the cheesecake onto your serving plate. And use the parchment paper underneath to lift it off the base of the pan. And remove the parchment paper from underneath. Pour about half of the ganache on top of the cheesecake and slowly spread it out to cover the top, and add more a little at a time as needed. Since the cheesecake is frozen, the ganache should set fast. You can let it drip down the sides too if you like. Keep in mind that if the ganache is too runny, it will drip too much down the sides and make a mess. You may not need all of the ganache. Then decorate the top with some mini chocolate chips. And place the cheesecake into the fridge for at least 2 hours until it's completely thawed, and keep it in the fridge until you're ready to serve it. To make clean cuts when you serve it, dip a sharp knife into some hot water. Dry it off with a paper towel and cut out a slice. Keep dipping the knife into the hot water and dry it off after every cut. And that's how to make a New York-style chocolate mousse cheesecake. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give this video a like and check out my channel for many more videos and subscribe to my channel for more to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.